What up, it's Rafael with NBA Draft Junkies. I'm gonna give you my reaction or analysis to the Locked On mock lottery. First up, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, and with their pick, they selected Cade Cunningham. To me, that's a no-brainer, makes the most sense. At number 2, it was the Indiana Pacers, and they went with Jalen Suggs. And the reason this makes sense to me is because I have Evan Mobley as the number 2 pick on my mock draft, and the Pacers definitely do not need another center. I mean, I think the two pieces that they have don't necessarily complement each other. And then Suggs would give them another guard in the backcourt. At number 3, it is the Houston Rockets, Evan Mobley. A little bit of redundancy there with Christian Wood, but at this point, Houston needs talent. And I would find out a way to make the Mobley and Christian Wood front court work together. At number 4, the Detroit Pistons, you have Jalen Green. Makes sense to me. Detroit needs scoring. And that's one thing that Jalen Green does is put the ball in the basket. He'll provide scoring punch. And some excitement that the Pistons have been missing. Blake Griffin was supposed to have that buzz and create that excitement in the city, but that didn't work out. Even though he had a really good year a couple years ago, but it just didn't work out like the way Detroit had anticipated. So I think Jalen Green would be a good pick there. At number 5, it is the Orlando Magic, Jonathan Kuminga. I think this pick also makes sense because Orlando has a lot of guards between Fultz. You got RJ Hampton, you got Cole Anthony, and then they still have Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, you still have Jonathan Isaac. So I think Kuminga makes the most sense there. Number 6, it is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I agree with this pick 100%. Scottie Barnes is the perfect piece to me. I mean, their backcourt is a little small, and their backcourt is probably not the best at moving the ball. Scottie Barnes gives them an additional playmaker. Then when you have a Scottie Barnes and Isaac Okoro 3-4 combination, I think your defense will at least be above average. At least you have some defensive cornerstones along with Jared Allen. So I like that pick right there. At number 7, this is probably the biggest shocker to me. They have Franz Wagner going to Golden State at number 7. I understand the fit. I just don't think Wagner is a top 7 pick. I think he's a borderline lottery pick, but that's just my opinion. But I actually like the fit. But I feel like Golden State will have 2 lottery picks, and I feel like they can get Wagner with the 2nd pick, but that's just my opinion. Number 8, the Toronto Raptors and Keon Johnson. I really like this pick because I am a very big fan of Toronto's development program. Johnson is raw, but I think if there is one team that I feel like that can help him maximize his potential, it is the Toronto Raptors. At number 9, it's the Orlando Magic again, and they select Moses Moody, so they have another wing. I think no matter which way or which direction Orlando goes in, there's going to be a lot of guys with overlapping skill sets. But in this case, with Kuminga and Moody, you added 2 wings, you added shooting, and you added defensive upside. And I mean, I guess they would just have to compete for the starting 3 spot because I think Jonathan Isaac is their for the future. But again, I can't get mad with the pick. I think it makes a lot of sense there. At number 10 is the Sacramento Kings and Corey Kispert. I would just feel sorry for whoever goes to Sacramento. I know Kispert, if I'm his agent, I'm not even sending my medicals. I'm not even doing an interview with the Kings because that franchise is a mess. But Kispert does make some sense there. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Harrison Barnes. It seems like he is probably their best asset as far as being able to make a move and get, I don't even know what they would get for him. I don't know if they're looking to go younger, if they're looking to add a veteran. I don't know what the game plan is there for Sacramento, so I'm not necessarily mad at the pick, but I would be upset. I shouldn't be upset. I mean, you want to be happy that you're drafted, but if there was one team that I would not want to go to, it's the Sacramento Kings. At number 11, it is the New Orleans Pelicans, and they have Alperen Sengün. The reason I don't necessarily like this pick because I think Zion is your cornerstone, and Zion is, in my opinion, going to be tough to build around. If you're going to build around Zion to maximize his talents, I think he needs to be paired with a defensive 5 that also spaces the floor. Sengün doesn't necessarily do that yet. He does rebound something that Zion, I feel like Zion could be a much better rebounder. But if I'm the Pelicans, I would probably go to guard because I can't imagine they're looking to bring back both Lonzo Ball and Eric Bledsoe. So I would go with a guard here, but again, this is just my opinion. At number 12, Charlotte taking Josh Giddey. I think this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, Giddey and LaMelo Ball are very, very similar. I don't know why they would select another point guard. And yeah, It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If I were Charlotte, the direction I would go in with this pick would be a big. Hopefully Sengün is available. I think that makes a little bit more sense as far as what they have on the roster today. You never know. Andre Drummond is a free agent. Charlotte may be in a position to, give him a nice hefty paycheck, because I don't think he'll get it in LA. But yeah, I just don't understand the Josh Giddey and LaMelo Ball backcourt. I mean, I think they are too similar. At number 13, it is the San Antonio Spurs, and they have Isaiah Jackson. And Isaiah Jackson is a high upside guy, high defensive potential. Don't necessarily know if he's a pop guy. I could see them going with someone like Sengün or Garuba if they're available. So the Isaiah Jackson pick, it makes some sense, but I thought that Jacob Porto had a pretty good year. And I just don't know if Pop has the patience to develop Isaiah Jackson. I think he's a few years away from really being able to come in and make an impact. But San Antonio, I think they just need to go ahead and fully embrace a rebuild. If they decide to embrace a rebuild, then to me it makes sense. But it seems like Pop is going to continue to try to fight for this 8th playoff spot, which makes no sense to me. And wrapping it up, it is the Golden State Warriors with Davion. I actually really like this pick. It gives them another guard, another shooter, if you are buying into his shooting consistency. I know he had 1 year in his college resume where he was a good shooter, and there are some question marks about his overall free throw percentage, but it gives the Warriors a defensive guard, gives them another playmaker, shooter, some athleticism. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. And for Golden State, if you can get Franz, Wagner, and Davion Mitchell, I think you had a pretty solid draft. Well, that wraps up my reaction and analysis for week 1. It's Rafael, NBA Draft Junkies. I'm out.
Hey, this is Richard Stayman, one of the hosts of the Locked On NBA Draft Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm going to break down a couple of these picks from this mock draft. I'm going to start with the Orlando Magic and their 2 picks. I really like the Jonathan Kuminga pick at 5. I currently have him number 4 on my board. Really like his ability to get to the basket. As Phil said, you take best talent available. Don't really worry about the fit. And even then, I do think he does fill some needs in Orlando, being a slasher and creating his own shot. And I do eventually buy the jump shot coming along. And then, even though he doesn't have that right now, they kind of countered that at number 9 with Moses Moody and his ability to shoot, defend. You add 2 defensive wings, potentially forwards to that mix. 7'1" wingspan for Moody. So there's a lot to like with that as a 3-and-D mold. Really get some core pieces to counter an already strong core in Orlando. The other pick I wanted to talk about was Charlotte at number 12. They took Josh Giddey, who is a 6'8" ball handler. So you have him, LaMelo Ball, both of them standing over 6'7", And then off the bench, potentially Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham, depending on what happens with him. So really interesting lineups you can roll out. I'm a bit intrigued by how LaMelo Ball and Josh Giddey would fit. LaMelo was a better shooter than expected, but Giddey still has a lot of work in that area, so maybe they can play off of each other to an extent. And then when one is off the floor, they can still have an elite ball handler and passer. So I really like the draft in the Southeast Division.